And with that, I'm going to say hello and welcome to this Drop It webinar this Friday morning. I hope you all are well. My name is Astrid Ramberg and I'm a project manager at RISE, and I will, together with our research and development engineer Hilma Andersson, take you through this hour-long webinar, but we will not be today's main speakers. Today's agenda includes a short introduction of the Drop It project, and after that, Hilma and I will take a step back, and we will get to listen to Katharina and Andrijana as they present their findings from the Waterflow project. After their presentation, there will be some time for questions. So, Hilma, what is the Drop It project?
Yes. So the Drop It project focuses on efficient water use in households and tries to answer the question, is it possible to influence individuals to reduce their water use through technology and communication? The project is led by RISE and is performed together with the partners that you see on the slide here. It is funded by Formas, and it's a continuation project of a previous pilot project. It started already in 2023 and will run for 5 years in total. And it has also led to a new project called Droppvis, Small Changes in Behavior, Large Effect, within the innovation program Waterwise Societies. Let's see. So the background of the Drop It project then is that climate change leads to water shortages in parts of Sweden. In addition, capacity shortages in the drinking water supply system may lead to a lack of drinking water, and households account for a significant share of drinking water use. So with this project, the aim is to contribute to resource-efficient water use by implementing and evaluating combinations of solutions to reduce water consumption, specifically in households. And this is done by using newer technical solutions for reducing water use in combination with communication. And now Astrid will tell you more about the structure of the project.
Yes, since this is a 5-year-long project, it's a rather large project. And to understand all the aspects of what we do and how Waterflow is connected, I thought I should show you how we structured our work. The project has one work package, number 3, for our 4 major case studies, which form the main part of the project. It is within the 3rd case study, which takes place in Halmstad, that we will focus on today. We also have a case study in Kungsbacka municipality, south of Gothenburg, as well as one inside Gothenburg taking place in HSB Living Lab. The 4th case study is outside of Stockholm on an island called Sandön, located in Värmdö municipality. Another aspect of interest is our work package with small-scale case studies, where we examine technologies with high innovation and impact, but lower readiness for the market. Work package 5 has facilitated collaboration in the project and has identified plausible trends within and scenarios for water saving within households. Work package 6 will evaluate the possibility of replication and large-scale implementation, and together with work package 2, create learning material from the project results. The actors involved in the 3rd case study are Laholmsbukten VA, the municipal water utility in Laholm and Halmstad. There's also HSB and Riksbyggen, who together provide 4 apartment building for the case, where technology can be installed and communications sent out. IKEA provides water saving technology that we install in these buildings. And of course, Nudged has been involved as well, as they conducted Waterflow in one of these apartment buildings. And with that said, we move on to our main speakers for today's webinar. Katharina and Andrijana, welcome. We look forward to hearing about Waterflow and the key aspects of the project. Please take it away.
Thank you so much, and nice to see all of you here. My name is Katharina Paoli. I am the CEO of Nudged, and I also work as a behavioral designer. And I have my colleague Andrijana with me. Do you want to introduce yourself a bit? And I can share my screen at the same time.
I'm Andrijana, and I work as a senior behavioral scientist for Nudged. My background is in psychology and psychology of behavior change.
Great. If you're not familiar with what we do at Nudged, we help cities and companies to boost behavioral change for climate-friendly habits. And just very short about us, we are a team of 13 in Europe. I'm based in Sweden. Andrijana is based in Croatia. We are behavioral designers, climate change experts, and techies, and we've done over 100 projects in 15 countries so far. So what we offer is behavioral insights to tap into what lies behind why people behave in different ways or why they don't behave in the way that we want them to do. And also we help with nudge design. It could be physical interventions, strategy, but also we have a digital nudging platform called Smart Nudges. It's digital software. And today we're going to run you through a very quick introduction to what nudging as a method is. I do think that some of you might know this, so I'm going to be very brief, but I just want to make sure that everyone is on board with the method. And then we're going to go through the project's interventions, in this case in Halmstad, and analysis of the results and some learnings and insights, and we'll end with a Q&A discussion. So if you have any questions along the way, please write them in the chat, and Astrid and Hilma will help us to bring them up if they're urgent, or save them until the Q&A at the end. So please be very interactive. We love that. So as mentioned, we use nudging. It's a method within behavioral science. And this is the father of nudging. He became very famous because he won the Nobel Prize in 2017, and because he wrote this book about how to nudge people in the right way. So what we do, it's behavioral science, it's psychology, and the aim is to make it easy for people to do the right thing. So instead of punishment or short-term monetary incentives, like raising a tax or putting up angry signs saying that you will have a bad fine or a punishment if you don't do the right thing, we use smart design that is boosted by psychology and behavioral science. And we have put this into the Smart Nudges digital nudging software. It's a B2B SaaS. It's a software as a service that helps companies and cities to boost behavioral change. And water is just one of the verticals we work within. We work within water, mobility, waste and recycle, energy, and sustainable consumption. And this software can be used either, as we will share today, as a web app. So there's no need to download anything. It's just we onboard end users by QR code or a link, or we can integrate it. So for example, we can integrate it in a real estate, like my tenants app, or it could be integrated in a mass solution. It can be integrated in a citizen app or digital screens and so on. So let's go through what we've done in this project together with RISE and HSB in Halmstad. The behavioral challenge is, as both Hilma and Astrid pointed out, that we want to make tenants think and act on their water consumption. In this specific case, we did a pilot with the tenants at specific buildings in HSB Halmstad in Sweden. So it's just a small group for this pilot, not everyone living in Halmstad. And I do know we have some international participants in this webinar, so I just wanted to give you, that is not a Swede, a little bit of a background on what is the psychology for an average Swede when it comes in terms of water. So first of all, most people in Sweden take clean water really for granted. We don't even think about it. It's just there. Because water is cheap and water quality is great, really great. And most people care, at least to some point, about the environment. But as you can see in the picture to the right, this is actually a global study, but it also relates a lot to Swedish people. 90% of consumers say it's important for the average person to take concrete steps to reduce environmental impact, but only 3% have undertaken the 5 water conservation steps deemed most effective for reducing indoor water use. So there's really this gap between how we know we should behave and what we actually are doing, how we behave. And that was one of the reasons we wanted to test these interventions as well. But bear in mind then that water is just not something you talk about in Sweden. It's just there, and we take it for granted. So we wanted to have these tenants to try something new. How can they wash their dog, for example? No, I was just kidding. So the list here is the list with behaviors that we wanted to nudge them towards. Take shorter showers, reduce water use in the kitchen, fix a leaking toilet tap or any type of thing that is leaking in the household, run full loads in the dishwasher or in the washing machine, and don't let the water run if it's not needed, and then collect water while waiting for it to get warm. In Sweden, it's quite common that you waiting for it to either get warm or either get cold. In the summertime, we wait for the water to get cold so we can drink it cold. And when you want hot water, you wait for it to get warm. And we wanted them to collect the water while waiting for this because we spill a lot of water during that. So these are the target behaviors. In all projects that we do, we use a very validated nudging process. And I just wanted to run you through it very quickly. So first of all, we start with a problem definition, and then we go directly into the behavioral analysis. So this is really important to make a behavioral analysis because we want to know what motivates, triggers, and drive people's behavior. And we also need to understand the context surrounding this behavior. For example, how do Swedish people think about water? And is there any specifics in Halmstad? And then when we have the behavioral analysis in place, then is when we develop the nudging concepts. We design nudges, we conceptualize, and then we test and measure the effect. And from that, we get a roadmap for implementation on a bigger scale. So in this project, we have done all the first steps, and the roadmap is now under discussion at us, and we're definitely looking into how we can implement these learnings on a bigger scale. So in this specific project, we actually done something that is not the common way of nudging people. Because when you look into how decision making is done in this is average for people, that we have both decision that is made in system 1 on intuition and instinct, and then we have decisions that we make in system 2 that is on more the rational thinking of our brain. And as you can see, the majority of our decisions is very often made on intuition, instinct, gut feeling, and it's quite hard to get people to be more rational thinking. So the most common nudge would be to get people to act unconsciously and be able to make a good decision even on intuition and instinct. But in some cases, we also see a need for people to be more rational thinking. And in this case, we really wanted to test that. So the nudges in this pilot has been designed for getting people to just stop a little thing, stop for a second or two, and shift their mindset towards a more system 2 thinking, towards a more rational decision making, so that we can increase the number, that percentage in this specific situation. And both Andrijana and I will walk you through how we've done this, but I want you to bear in mind that the typical nudge is very often that you do something on the run and then you get the friendly push with a nudge to help you choose the right thing. And in this way, the strategy has been more to make people to stop and really think about their behavior. And how do we wanted to do this? Well, we understood from the behavioral analysis that we really want to do something interactive. We want to create awareness and curiosity, make it fun, interactive. And we decided that we want to implement one of the modules we have in our Smart Nudges platform, that is a quiz, to make sure that people are engaged. And also, there's a lot of research on if you compare yourself to your neighbors, that triggers different behaviors. If you can see how much energy usage or how good your neighbors are at recycling, that triggers you to want to do the same, because part of herd mentality, and we don't want to be worse than our neighbors, do we? So this comparison is also super important for interactive. We wanted also to make it easy to make the first step. And here we have used digital micro nudges. There is more towards this rational thinking, system two thinking, like educating people about water, making it easy to start, and be very aware that no pointing fingers, because that's really not the type of framing of messages that we want. In the pilot, we did an A/B testing. So we had one group of households, and I will go through how these looks, all the different posters and so on. Group A, that group of households, they got both a poster in the entrance of their home, and they got a personalized QR code that was that led them to our platform. And then they had tips based on their household data, so their water usage. In the group B, we had also a poster and but a general QR code. So instead of having tips based on their personal data, water data, they got more general tips on water conservation. And it was based on average households. And then we had a control group, group C. And in the neighborhood that we selected together with HSB, then it was 7 houses, 7 entrances, and 3 of them was group A, 3 of them was group B, and 1 of the entrances served as a control group. So let's go through what did we actually do. I mentioned posters, so here's our colleague Melina when she was putting up the posters in Halmstad. And here, when you enter the entrance of your apartment building, you have this interactive poster where you can, it says in Swedish then, do you know how much water you use every day? And then you can put a blue dot for what you think. How do you use half of a bathtub? Do you use, how many liters do you use? And you also have the green dots here where you can put up a goal on how much do you, what is your goal the coming month, and how much should you use. Oh, sorry, runs real fast. And together with that, we also gave them a little leaflet in their post box. And here they had the QR code with the personal data or with the average tips. And as you can see on both the posters and the small leaflets, we have a cute little messenger. We call him Mr. Drop. And the reason that Mr. Drop is the messenger and not RISE or Nudged or HSB or the municipality or the water company in the municipality, it's because we don't want people to think that, oh, who are they to tell me how to behave in my home? So instead, we came up with this little messenger who is more friendly, he's recognizable, he looked like a water drop. It's really hard to blame a Mr. Drop for asking you to do something or behave in a different way. So the messenger really matters as well. And here is a bigger picture of what the posters look like in the entrance, so you can see the design there. And here's the leaflet. And together then when you, okay, I go back here. So in the leaflet, you see a QR code. And when you scan that, it says scan QR code to get tips on what you can do to save water and to conserve water. And as mentioned, some of the households got that with a very personalized QR code so that they got tips from their data, and the others got with a more general household data. And that led them into the Smart Nudges platform. And as mentioned, this is a nudging software. And now you will see the pictures in Swedish, but we have translations, don't worry. And it's based on persuasive technology and personalization. So I will now hand it over to Andrijana to explain more about what we've done in the digital platform and also the analysis of the results.
Thank you. I do not have the take control button, so
Okay.
I will share.
And I stop, and you can
from my
put it
side.
up. Meanwhile, do we have any questions so far?
Yes, there was
It
a
sounds
question
like-
about whether we had access to smart water meters. Of course, yes, this is how we extracted the data for the platform and some of the personalized nudges that we had. Okay, so through Smart Nudges platform, and this is the approach that is known under the common persuasive technology approach and human computer interaction. And this means that we are using behavioral insights through interaction with the platform. It's more personal, and it allows personalization based on personal data that we have, or through the questions that users leave within the platform. And finally, the platform and the way we design it, it elicits commitment, which then we use also as a measure of success of our intervention. So now you will see several nudge cards that we had in the platform, and I will read literally the content that is on them. So every word has a meaning, and it's carefully selected based on psychological mechanisms that we expect to be effective in getting people to think, to be aware, and to create intentions towards the behavior. So in this specific nudge card, so it says, be honest. So how much, we asked users how much they care about water consumption. With the message, be honest, no one is judging you. Your answers help us to give you advice that is relevant for you. So by phrasing this in this specific way, to be honest and no one is judging, we wanted to reduce the social evaluation and pressure that people might feel when it comes to asking them to do something. Also, it helps build trust through this kind approach to users. And by saying that their answers actually help tailor content that is relevant for them, we kind of give them more sense of personal relevance and autonomy through this user experience. And yes, and even like the question in itself, even if it's not a pledge, it serves as a soft commitment. So when we say that we care about something, we are more likely to act more consistently in terms of behavior. One aspect of personalization, we can see it in this example of a nudge card, which says, what suits you? Choose one change that you would like to test this week. This is your secret. We will not tell or look you up. You do this because you want to. So there are several aspects, and this like you might see this as a simple message, but it's packed with mechanisms that are expected to create something, a change. So we asked them what suits them. We asked them to choose one small thing, one behavior that they can test the next week. So it's important to when changing habits, it's important to start small, And when we frame something, and you can try this next week, you can test it. When it's framed as experimentation, there's less resistance to it because people, how we say, at least try it once and then see how you feel, how it happens. So when we frame this expected change as a small thing that they can test, there is nothing permanent. We're more likely to be more connected to users and get them to really consider changing. And also adding, you do this because you want, and when they choose something, they have a feeling of ownership and commitment to it. And also doing this because you want is getting this intrinsic motivation to do so more salient for them. This next example is one of the most proven and let's say effective nudges, where we provide the user a comparison. So how they stand in terms of water consumption compared to their neighbors who have, for example, similar household or some similar characteristics. We call this social proof nudge, and it has several aspects to its effectiveness. So people like to compare to others who are similar to them, and neighbors are the closest reference point that people can compare themselves to. It adds a little bit of competition because if you're not standing well compared to your neighbors, you're more motivated to change. And also, if you're standing better than your neighbors, it gives you sort of recognition that you are doing a right thing. Also, there's this cognitive dissonance. If people are not there where they want to be, it's also, let's say, a force that gets them to consider changing. So now we will dive into the analysis and the results. So how did we measure the effectiveness? So we had, there is a slide about data that we used. So we used to estimate the impact of the intervention. We measured daily water consumption in four points. So we had access to daily data consumption before and after the intervention, which started on May 30th. So we took 2 weeks before as a baseline. So the period 2 weeks before and up until intervention as a baseline. Then we looked into 7 days after, 14 days after, and 21 days after, to make sure that we catch any change, immediate or later one. Yes, and now the spoiler alert before I reveal the results. Unfortunately or fortunately, which is also not getting a result is important information. So we did not get statistically significant effects of our intervention on water consumption across the households that we measured. But yes, we did definitely learned, and we will share insights very soon with you. So what we had is, yes, we had smart water meter data from households, daily consumption. We also had information about apartment size and room numbers. Additionally, we wanted to include the number of residents per households, but we noticed that there was some incompatibility with the RETSE data, so we decided not to use these numbers. So we were not sure how many people lived in each apartment, and we kind of doubted the validity of this data. So the choice of analysis and study design, when we are using quasi-experimental research, meaning experiments in real life where we cannot control for many things, we decided to use difference method of analysis. So due to the initial or baseline incomparability of households across conditions on water consumption, so we had control and experimental groups that had at baseline very different water consumption patterns. But to estimate the causality between our intervention and the effect, so we use this analysis, and this analysis allows us to track, these changes through time in these three groups. So the changes are measured in the four time points that I mentioned earlier. So we found no statistically significant treatment effects. We were also looking into interaction effects with apartment size and number of room, meaning we questioned whether our intervention was dependent on the apartment size or number of rooms. And it turned out that it did not, that the consumption is equal regardless. The effect of the intervention on consumption is equal regardless of apartment size and number of rooms. So this was related with the effects of overall the intervention. But now we will look more specifically into what was happening with the platform, because users got invited to our digital platform. And we found out that a total of 36% of households actually engaged with the platform. And after cleaning the data, meaning some of these users, for some of them, we could not connect smart water meter data. So we dropped several of them, and we were left with 23% of households that entered the platform. And for all of them, we saw that first of all, those who got personalized QR codes, that they were more attracted to enter the platform. And what is also interesting, when we looked into their attitudes, like how much they care about water consumption, and compared these results with the platform non-users, we found positive attitudes towards water conservation. So 10 out of 11 believe that water conservation is important, and 9 out of 11 are already doing something in terms of water conservation. So when we ask them what are behaviors that you are willing to commit or that fit your, let's say, lifestyle or household water consumption pattern. So these are behaviors that were chosen. So putting the machine load at full capacity. So 3 users or households choose this. 2 households choose shorter showers, and 2 opted for fixing leaks, and 1 opted for turning off tap. This is interesting just to see what behaviors are more easy to be committed to. Compared to all residents who received personalized QR code, the ones who use the platform have a lower baseline consumption, which is also interesting, because this says that those who enter the digital platform, are kind of self-selected based on their interest in the topic and motivation when it comes to water conservation. So we call this self-selection bias, and then we'll return to this a little bit later in our conclusions. Okay, so what have we learned? So there were some limitations that we noticed while conducting the study, and one of them was definitely uncertainty whether the target group understands Swedish very well, and if such barrier existed, it could have reduced engagement with the platform. Also, we noticed by looking at water meter data that there was very low consumption in some households. So we're not sure, whether people were in or not. So many of the people also live in these apartments temporarily. So this was also a missing piece of information. So how long they were there. which could have limited their motivation to change and to actually engage in the project.
May I jump in on that one just before you change? If you go back to the limitations.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks. I just wanted to clarify there. So the reason that we chose to only have the interventions in Swedish is that HSB as a real estate company has that as a policy that they communicate in Swedish. So that was also one of the limitations, that even though we were a bit uncertain because this was group of buildings where a lot of people that was newly moved to Sweden had these apartments as their first home, and they also didn't stay very long because it was kind of a transition apartments, which we didn't know on beforehand. And of course, if you're new to Sweden, Swedish is a very hard language to learn, so it could be difficult to understand this type of topics when you're new to the country. But we unfortunately did not have the opportunity to put it in English or so. So I just wanted to add that. Please continue, Andrijana.
Thank you. Okay, so let's hear about our learnings and insights. So one of the biggest insights based on who entered the platform and who did not is that actually the people who care a little bit more because they already had the lower water consumption levels, they reacted more positively to the intervention, which indicate their prior higher pro-environmental identity. I may have forgotten to mention that we have not found significant differences in water consumption of users of the platform versus non-users of the platform, which means that although people who care more about the water and self-selected to enter and use the platform, they did not decrease their water consumption. But since they're already self-selected, meaning that, and they had lower baseline water consumption, it could have also mean that we reached the ceiling effect, meaning that they're already using as less as possible when it comes to water. But then we ask ourselves who really care. If people are self-selected and only third of them, a little bit of third of the users, and what we see in water project, but it also relates to in general in sustainability behaviors, is that people have hard time seeing what does it matter, especially when it comes to small things. If I do this small thing, and especially if there is no direct and clear feedback on what does this small thing that I do actually does for the environment, or why does it matter for me personally. So this is the problem that we're facing with changing behaviors in realm of sustainability. When we do something and we expect direct consequence, either a reward of a behavior, like some direct feedback, which keeps us then motivated to continue. So here this is harder. So the outcome is usually the benefit that comes later on, and it's not so tangible, and very, very often it's not directly related with the behavior that we changed. Yes, I might have talked on the wrong slide. What does it matter? What I do is just a tiny part of the problem. Yeah, so this lack of perceived individual impact. So we need to think of the ways how we can translate this, small things that people try to do, small behaviors, how we can translate it back to them to make it meaningful, to make it more engaging, to make it more palpable, to see what does it actually mean, if we turn off the tap while we brush our teeth. What does it mean to actually? So there's a lot of misperception about clean water as an finite or infinite resource. Also, what happens is that people misperceive how many other people care about something. So what we also learn in water projects in other countries is that people who care about saving water and managing their water consumption, they tend to underestimate how many other people also find it important and are doing something. And this is very, very dangerous. We see this also in other climate-related topics. So this is called pluralistic ignorance, where people, tend to underestimate or are not aware that they are actually part of majority, not the minority. So it's very important to communicate how many people actually care, how many people are doing something, especially if these numbers are positive and significant. So we need collective efficacy or social proof strategies. So these are called social proof strategies in communication. What we also learned, since we were measuring the effects at the household level, and we were having an intervention, more specifically the invitation for using the digital platform, which was individual. So a person, probably one person from the household has entered the platform, and we kind of had this assumption that it will spread to the whole household, and then we could measure the effect. So the challenge that we will try to address is how to make all household members aware of our intervention, how to make them, let's say, share this experience of using our digital platform to other household members. So we are sure that the intervention has actually reached all the household, because we cannot measure individual, it's hard to measure individual consumption. So we have to rely on household data consumption. And our plans, our next steps. So what do we want to do is to dive deeper. So definitely, as I mentioned, to try to engage all household members with our intervention. Try to test the intervention on a larger sample of specifically platform users, because this approach of motivational nudging might be more promising at the moment. We want to follow up users with qualitative research methods, which are very often underestimated. We want to talk to people and ask them how they perceive water consumption, how they perceive the intervention, what makes them tick, what they see as a meaningful intervention or a point where they can connect to become more engaged. And definitely have more insights about the residents and the area. Who are the people who are living in these in these households? What is their English proficiency? How long have they been living? So more detail will help us to better understand and maybe catch the small changes that people actually make after being exposed to our intervention. This is all from my side. Yes.
Yeah, and I also wanted to reach out as a next step. So we will also be involved in the Dropwise, we call it in English, project. And so we're really happy that we will have opportunity to test other things and test the learnings from this project already next year. But we are looking for new test beds. So if any one of you know a real estate company or a municipality that would like to test this type of interventions, we're really open to have a discussion on that. So yeah, take the next slide and feel free to show our contact details again, Andrijana, and then we can start taking some questions for the Q&A.
Just a second.
And thank you for a really interesting presentation.
Yes,
a very good start for this Friday, I think. At least.
Yeah, go on to the reach out so people have a chance to take a photo or what they want to do. All right, I see we have some questions in the chat. Should we? Do you want to moderate them, Astrid, or should we just get started?
Yeah, sure. I think some of the question has been answered during your presentation, but some has not. And I think if I go to the start, project duration, you have addressed, as well as the gender of Mr. Drop. Which is a really interesting aspect, a very good question, I think.
Yeah, it's a really good question. I mean, we haven't really. I call him Mr. Drop, but it's maybe because I think he's cute and and I prefer men. But I do think it doesn't matter. In the communication to the tenants, we haven't really said Mr. or Mrs. It's just the drop. Like we haven't even said a name or so. He or she has just been there.
Maybe you answered this, Andrijana, but how many consumers did you have in each of the three groups, A, B, and C?
Yeah, so we had overall 30 households. 30 households, and we had around, so there was a little bit unequal numbers, around 15 and 18 households in each condition, and then the control group. Yes.
But then we had this limitation of the fact that when we compared
yeah, we couldn't calculate the correct
exact, because when we compared the individuals that HSB had in their records on in Sweden, we have a page called Ratsit where you can see how many people in each address that those numbers were not comparable. So there's something wrong in the data there, which was also interesting. It could relate to the fact that this was a group of buildings where people moved in and out a lot, or they move in and out a lot. So that might be the reason for that.
Yes, I think maybe did you consider linking water consumption to energy usage? Dragan, are you still in the meeting? Do you want to take that question?
Yes, thank you. Very, very nice presentation. Thank you very much. In the past, we also looked into this. I had a European project lasting 3 years looking into this, and we linked the energy to water because water is much, much cheaper than electricity, and people pay attention to something that they consider a consumer good, electricity or gas, and water. They don't consider it a commodity. And also 30% of the energy in the household is related to the usage of water. So then you can show them how much they can save if they reduce water consumption. So that, if you haven't, that may be something for the next project.
And thanks, that's a really good insight. And I think that would be super interesting to bring in as well. We didn't have the opportunity, unfortunately, in this project, but for the future, a very good point.
Perfect. Thank you, Dragan. And did you have another question in the chat that you want to take?
Yes, I was thinking about how did you get the data from the smart meters? Because somewhere in the presentation you said 1 day data. All the things about nudge that I understand, and I'm not an expert, I'm an engineer. They say that immediate feedback is better than later. So did you get that information after a day, or did you get it at a smaller interval so that you can update the app a bit faster?
So we had the daily, if I understand you correctly, are you asking about measuring the effect? on water consumption after the intervention?
No, just consumption.
The direct,
Just
yeah, the
consumption.
direct feedback, I think. So, yeah, I
Uh-huh.
think that's a really good point, and that was what I tried to address in the beginning. That the normal thing of nudging is like being in the moment, like the system one thinking, being on the intuition part. And in this case, we were more working on the rational part. So the data we had was compared to, was it from the previous month, right? Yeah, it
Yes.
was
Yeah, usually it's a
compared to the
monthly-
previous month. So a
monthly
daily data,
consumption.
but compare in the analysis we could compare it to the daily data, but it was on the monthly month before, based on the month before. Because we get the data from HSB, and they unfortunately, so we could in our platform, we have another project where we're looking into linking it, so linking our platform so that we can have immediate access, as you say, like instant access to the data, and therefore we could also change the content depending on and give feedback on the daily basis. In this project, unfortunately, we did not have that integration, even though our platform has the opportunity to do that type of integration. So that would be awesome to test.
Thank you.
Yes.
Joe, feel free to ask your question.
Oh, hi. Thank you so much for a really interesting presentation. And yeah, it looks like you have similar challenges to the ones we do in the UK. One of the thoughts that just that talk just reminded me of was I know of some work recently in Australia where they realised that an intervention that they tried in New South Wales didn't have the same effect when they tried it in Victoria, because the rental rules were different and the bills were paid differently and things. So in New South Wales, the owner of the property, all the bill is paid in one, like everything you pay, all your utility bills are all in one. So as a renter, you don't notice it so much, whereas in Victoria, you paid it separately. If that makes sense. So it was, or vice versa. So it just made me think, I'm interested whether, do the renters, are they in control of their water bill itself, or do they see that, or is it done through the rental organisation? Does that make sense?
That's, yeah, it I don't know if I have a clear answer to that. I would say I think it varies. With HSB, I think most of us see our water consumption we see the bill, but no one opens it. Kind of.
That's very true.
It's kind of just something that is like on auto pay, and a few people open it. But we do have access to it, normally on a monthly basis or a quarterly basis.
Okay, yeah, that's interesting. It's just something that I was reflecting on for over here, that I hadn't really thought before about how the different ways people may be paying their bills may influence their sort of wants.
So that's one type of intervention that we tried with energy usage. You can, because when the energy prices was high a couple of years ago, when we had this peak, and especially in the winter in Sweden, a lot of people pay attention to their energy bill. So that is actually a channel for nudging them when they look at the bill. Like we can put a message there that makes sense. The water bill we don't look at, so we didn't identify that as a channel for reaching out, basically.
No, and it's not a consistent channel depending on how you rent your apartment. The water bill might be included in your rent, so it doesn't change monthly, especially for student housing and so on. So it's not a foolproof way. It really depends on the apartment building and complex and so.
But it's an interesting behavior that can also be an object of nudging. Like, have you looked into your water bill? If people are not doing that, then that's a barrier that we first need to address. Like, I really do you know what's happening there, and why not?
Well, but water is still very cheap in our country. So yeah, I do see that there's a question here from Joachim also that I just don't want us to miss that, if that's okay. And then we go back to Dragan. Joachim, are you still in the meeting? Do you want to address your question?
Yes, I'm right here. I just had a
Yeah.
struggle starting my microphone. Yeah, I was just really curious, since this is a follow-up project called Drop These that is coming. Are you having any thoughts on how these results are going to be integrated into that project? From my understanding, you're going to try to focus on the nudging methodologies and also using them in this case that you're going to perform in the Drop These project, right?
My answer would be, oh yes, we do. We have a lot of thoughts on this. They are not. It's still very early on the Dropis project, so I don't want to. I mean, I don't want to say anything now because we cannot promise. But I can definitely promise you we have a lot of ideas going on this, and we will make sure to communicate that when we have more put down and had a look at the analysis a bit more. So I don't know if Andrijana, I don't know if we should go into any specific ideas or so, but is there anything you would like to add there?
Yeah, we have some ideas on also adding to the physical nudge and maybe system one thinking. Yeah.
Exactly.
But yeah, we'll not
So we
reveal
can
the magic
no,
yet.
but no, exactly. We don't want to say it yet, but that is a good point you have there, Andrijana, because one thing that we do see is that we want to be able to combine the system 1 and system 2 type of nudges. So both those type of behaviors is if to find a way with physical interventions on being in the now, where the actual behavior take place, and then combine that with the platform that is more on the like making people micro nudges for educating them on water and making them more aware and get feedback on their own data. So I think that would be a powerful combination.
Yeah, we're really excited to hear more about that later when it comes to presenting the results. So thank you.
We have a few minutes, just 1 minute. So maybe we have Dragan and then we have Ingela.
Yes.
But maybe we can, if there are questions, we can stay a little over time. Astrid, what do you
Yes.
think?
I think that's a good idea. Since to not to I think we should say happy have a good weekend. That's what you're supposed to say to everyone who's not able to stay. And if you want to stay and ask a few questions, Katharina and I will be able to stay for 10-15 minutes or so. So I just want to wish everyone a good weekend and thank you for showing up to this webinar. And then Dragan, you can ask your question.
I would echo what Joe said about getting in touch with the Waterwise UK, because they're the ones that they've been doing really good work in terms of water efficiency at household, and they have lots of experience. I would also suggest that you get in touch with Thames Water. They've been installing millions of consumer water meters, and they've been doing quite a lot on trying to nudge their customers to reduce consumption. For your future project, if I may, the experience is you have to recruit more of these, because 30 is not good enough even if you had increase or decrease. Statistical significance works when you have 50, 100, a bit more. So I would say work on that. And the last one is if you can have more granular, so more measurement of water, you can actually help householders by detecting the leaks in the households. So, you know, if there is a consumption in the evening or during the times when you don't expect it, that would be also good feedback to them to correct those leaks.
Yeah, you really answered something there. And when it comes to we do that when it comes to energy usage, where they can get timely nudges depending on what is their peak hour, and then they get the friendly reminder an hour before that, and so on. So it's all about access to data and integrations of the systems. Yeah, we would love to have a bigger population to test on. So sometimes some projects are smaller in resources, and that's also a part of the limitations. So thanks for great input there, Dragan.
Yeah, and good references to look up.
Yeah. Okay. We have, let's see, Ingela had to leave, but she had a point there.
About
Yeah,
how
it was
the
just a
water bill
comment.
looks in
Yeah,
Sweden.
exactly.
Maybe addressing the question on, I think it was Joe, on getting people to talk, who enter the platform, who are more engaged, to talk to the others.
Yeah, that's a good one. And then Maya afterwards. Yeah. Do you want to address that? Yeah.
Yeah, I was wondering, but this is also what we discussed earlier, like in one project that was related more with mobility. So we asked users of the platform, like, are you willing, to, ride your bike once next week, or check the schedule of public transport? And then the third was talk to your neighbor about how they drive around. And which was chosen by literally 1% of the users of the platform. We had like around 300 people in the platform. And then it was interesting discussion, like how, like, is I don't know, I'm not in Sweden, but there are some stereotypes about Swedes, like they're nice and polite, but it stops there, nobody, wants to engage deeper. So I don't know what's the dynamics of, neighborhood connection. Is this something that we could actually consider, like getting people to talk about the topic, talk to the neighbors? Yeah, that's an interesting point. If people are already engaged, maybe something to investigate in qualitative research, like asking people, like.
Yeah, and my spontaneous thought there, being a Swede, would be living in an apartment building. I would say that in big cities, no, I don't. We don't even say hello to our neighbors in big cities, unfortunately. In smaller communities, we do have another project, a water project going on with Skövde municipality, also together with RISE, and there has been a history of difficulties with water, like brown water in the tap, and water scarcity. And it's one of the few municipalities that actually has that problem. But unfortunately, that's what we're doing. We're helping more to make sure that it doesn't happen for more people. Try to prevent that. But there, of course, water is a big topic to discuss with your neighbors, especially when there's a crisis, or especially when it's a problem with it. So I think it also has to do with context.
They have a common problem, so that kind of brings them together, like to fight against it. So maybe like instead of our messenger, the drop, we need to think of a common enemy that might, it's not so positive, but might, get people together too.
I would also say that house owners are more prone to talk to their neighbors than apartment or renters or people who lives in an apartment, because you're a bit more in need of a contact with. If you have a house and there's a problem, you might want to look out for each other. There's a little bit of a different community mentality, I would say, which is also interesting. So that might be an easier place to start with the people living in houses if you want them to connect to neighbors and learn about it. So Mai, do you want to ask your question?
Hi everyone, it's a really interesting topic. I recently graduated from Linus University, and actually last May we had a project with a water company in the southeastern part of Sweden, and we did some education for high school students about water saving in the households. And I was connecting to a Dropit project, I was wondering, given your observation, which is really interesting, that the people who actually access the platform is the one who are maybe more predisposed to water saving behaviors because of their prior interest. Is there something we could do to build the agency, to address the remaining people who are maybe less knowledgeable about water scarcity? Maybe, from, before they get enough interest that motivates them to access to use the platform, maybe you could, I don't know, have something else to build up that agency, which is what we did for our projects, because we think that, for students to realize that, okay, that there's water scarcity challenges in the immediate future. They need to be aware of, why it's important for them to change their behaviors, and then they will actually do something. So that's
Yeah,
what I'm
I think
thinking.
it's a very valid point you have there, May. I think, and it would be interesting to do. I think one of the limitations to this project is, as Hilma mentioned in the beginning, this is just one part of a bigger project with several tests and so on. So in this case, the tenants, they did not know about this project on beforehand. They just, one day there was something in the entrance and something in their postbox. So no communication before, and honestly, no communication afterwards either. So I think that to change behaviors, as we all know, it takes time. So we need a longer period of like different communication points. And there we could be more educating in one part and more nudging in another part and boosting in the third part. And I think that's a key element to get that long-term change.
Yeah, I definitely agree. Yeah, changing behavior is not a one-day thing. So it takes a longer time. Yeah. Thank you for sharing your learning.
Thanks for your input.
And if you would like to collaborate with a housing company, maybe you could check out Vidinde.
Can you write it in the chat, please? The name?
Yeah, sure.
Vidingehem? Okay.
Yeah, Kroneberg. And when we were looking for partners for our project, they were very open to discussion. So,
okay, good to know. Thanks for that tip.
You're welcome. And by the way, they actually trialed, I think, a system to save water from the washing machine in their building. So I think they are already keen to save water. That's why it's good to talk to them. Thank you.
And now we just got a really generous offer from Dragan. Thank you so much. Yes, we would love to test this also in the UK and the Netherlands, of course. So I'll reach out to you. Perfect. Thank you so much. Thank you. Appreciate it. Really. Do we have any final questions before we wrap this up? Or thoughts? Comments? Feel free. Don't be shy. Gotlandshem is another tip. Yeah, we actually worked with Gotlandshem for, they used the Smart Nudges mobility for commuting for their tenants. So we do have a contact there. Christopher Stelnat. I will write this down. Thank you very much. Well,
it doesn't seem that there are any more questions. So thank you, Katharina and Andrijana, once again for this really, really good webinar and discussion session. And I hope
thank you for organizing.
Weekend.
Thanks for organizing. And yeah, feel free to reach out if you have any more questions, anything pops up. Let us know. We're here.
Thank you. Goodbye.
Bye. Have a great weekend.
Bye. Have a nice weekend.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.